Google yourself.
We don't like you.
Yeah, we mean that.
Emphatically.
Yeah, what does that mean?
I have no idea.
It's a good word.
Hey, howdy, hey. I guess steam train heads. I don't know if there's like a term for it. I know there's like petrol heads for cars and that, but anyway, Wolfman 47 Dash here. So, quite some time ago, one of my friends wanted me to talk about Thomas the Tank Engine, or as it's known nowadays, Thomas and Friends. And I just need to adjust the camera. There we go. So I'm going to talk about that today. Now, as a lot of you know, this is one of those things that's targeted mainly for younger children as a way to sort of help them learn things. And in the case of Thomas and Friends, as it's nowadays known as, it's all about teamwork. So you learn about teamwork and everything and so forth. So yeah. So this friend of mine wanted me to do this video, and usually, as many of you who have been subscribed to me long enough will know, much of what I do on this channel is based on requests by you guys, as always. So going to talk about it today. Now, when I was younger, I was very much into Thomas the Tank Engine, as it was known back then. I had a lot of the model trains based on the characters from the show, lots of tracks. I had access to VHS tapes of the show, which wasn't really like seasons, they were just more compilation of episodes. I went on a school trip to be on a Thomas Tank Engine thing, and if I'm being honest, having seen all the different videos about the real life Thomas experience, yeah, you can definitely tell that they've got Thomas down to a T, but every other character from Thomas and Friends, they've not quite got it there correctly or something, but I don't know. So I had that happen. And I was also part of the Thomas the Tank Engine fan club for a while, getting all the goodies and everything. And I also watched, I watched one of the feature films, which was Thomas and the Magic Railroad. And yeah, after that, I then kind of stopped being part of the franchise because by the time I watched the Magic Railroad, I was getting to an age where some people would probably assume that lots of things you should really grow out of and move on and everything. I'll be honest, I did decide to leave Thomas the Tank Engine for quite a long time because after seeing the Magic Railroad, I kind of realised that it's not all that it's cracked up to be, and it's probably for the best that I move on to other things. And to be honest, my love for Lego is a lot more powerful than it is for Thomas the Tank Engine. Now, I know I said I was going to stick to having these Let's Talk videos as being review-based going forward, but I'm going to make an exception on this occasion because sometimes when you want to talk about a franchise at large, it's not always easy to review all the different things. And considering how long Thomas and Friends has been going on for, it's going to be difficult for me to even review everything. So, yeah. Now, Thomas and Friends started out as Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. All that, so it's kind of no surprise that it's now known as Thomas and Friends, because saying Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends every so often is going to be a bit of a mouthful. It started out as a series of books called the Railway series, which then spawned into this TV show for young children, and it would be one of those shows that would basically tell stories. It wouldn't be a case of you'd have to sort of do like that sort of thing that I particularly find patronising, where they ask you to sort of give a sort of response or interaction to the characters on screen. No, this is basically straight up just telling you a story about these human characters and these sentient train vehicle characters, just doing jobs, doing what they want to do, doing what they set out to do, and all that, and just working together as a team, avoiding all the different occurrences and all that stuff. So I watched the show for a while, really getting into it, and as I say, I bought a lot of merchandise, had the magazines and all the other stuff as well, and I really enjoyed it for a long time. But I will admit, and I know a lot of you will be asking me this in the comments, yes, I do admit that when it was in its early days, there were some dark elements to it. So obviously, we all know the thing about Henry, the big green train who gets bricked up into a tunnel because he refuses to come out because of his paint coming off. Yeah, I could definitely say that was a dark story, but let's remember that that did kind of get resolved a little later down the line, quite literally, in fact, where he was needed for something and he was released from that little prison of his. And what I find interesting about some of these shows growing up is that a lot of them do have do this thing where they kind of leave something sort of not tied up for a while and then come back to it later in a few episodes in. It's like with Batman the Animated Series where the Joker is killed off, but then comes back a few episodes later without any sort of real, um, what's the word, answer as to how he came back or anything, and he just comes back randomly. Up until Return the Joker, where we find out they did actually indeed properly die, and that's kind of been seen as the official end of the Joker for good. So yeah, but anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Thomas and Friends. So yeah, it is quite funny seeing all these trains, you know, all them talking, having these different personalities. You've got some trains that think they're sort of high and mighty, other trains that think they are better than others, and then you've got trains like Thomas and probably Percy as well that are sort of like getting it and understanding other trains and just trying to push themselves and everything, and just want to get on and everything. And then you got the Fat Controller or Sir Topham Hatt, I should say, because you know, calling the Fat Controller is not exactly a nice thing to say. Who is basically just trying to keep everything in order and so forth, and really only using steam engines because he has a soft spot for steamies over diesels, who basically see themselves as far more superior but are quite menacing and so forth. So yeah. Now I should say the reason why I kind of stopped loving Thomas and Friends after seeing Thomas and Magic Railroad was because Thomas and Magic Railroad just felt so different from the rest of the show, because it does use the sort of animation that the show was used to, but instead of using model characters like the original show did, they actually opted to use live action actors in there, which is fine. You know, sometimes to evolve, a franchise does need to use new things, but it just didn't work for that film. And it's probably just as well that other films that came after that were not really released in cinemas, or were released in cinemas, but they stuck to the original animation, or just the animation that he uses these days. I know it did go through a long period of time where it was just like model trains with characters that had these moving eyes, and sometimes the facial expressions would change, and the model humans who just have the same expression most of the time. So yeah, and then later on they did sort of try out CGI by having the faces be CGI to begin with, and then has a complete overhaul and becomes all CGI, to the point where it's not a case of the narrator narrates everything that goes on. The characters do actually have their own voices and everything, which I think is a good way to expand. But yeah, that's just how I feel about it. So I guess the big question I have to ask myself is, why have I decided to start getting into Thomas and Friends again? Because if you've seen my last few whole videos, I have been buying the DVDs, and the reason for that is I kind of give thanks to Mashed. So Mashed, for those of you who don't know, is this YouTube channel known for all these different animations based on beloved franchises and so forth, and they did this series of animations called Man vs. Train, which basically pits Postman Pat against Thomas the Tank Engine in a not really a death battle kind of way. They kind of sort of have a bit of a fantasy element and so forth to it, you know, mech suits, a heaven and hell element, and all sorts of other things. And because it was made for adults, it obviously meant that they could go away with swear words, adult humor, and all sorts of other things. And it basically got me into Thomas and Friends again, because it's just seeing Thomas in action with all these wonderful contraptions and everything that really just boosted my interest in it again. And after that, I immediately went on to the YouTube channel, the official YouTube channel, and found out that you can pretty much watch the entirety of Thomas and Friends on its YouTube channel, rather than spending a fortune on the DVD complete seasons of it. Although, as me and Plaxoak often say, physical media rules. So there's that as well. And yeah, it's definitely lives up to expectations. It's if you love trains, you'll enjoy this just fine. It does help young children learn about teamwork. It certainly helped me learn about teamwork when I was younger. And I do sort of hold it firmly in my heart, in that it was a helpful thing to have when I was growing up, just learning the true meaning of teamwork and everything, which I do happen to use these days in my work and everything. So yeah. So I think overall, I'm not going to rate it because it's not really because it's not really a review based let's talk this time. It's more of a talk generally about something. But it's definitely one of the good educational shows that isn't patronising and just gets straight to it. Just tells you a story, how people help each other out, and I do kind of enjoy watching all these trains and so forth having crashes and collisions and everything, and just trying to understand the aftermath of it, and understanding that they, as the Mr. Top of Hat would say, understand that what they've done has caused confusion and delay and all that other stuff. So yeah, that's what I think about Thomas the Tank Engine, or Thomas and Friends, however you want to call it. So if you want to say what you think about it, do so in the comments. You know what those are. But other than that, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more of my regularly uploaded videos. So I usually do vlogs like this where I talk about all sorts of different things. I also do gameplay videos where it's straight gameplay with some editing and some memes, but it's otherwise just straight gameplay, nothing else. I do let's play videos as well, where it's basically gameplay videos, but you hear my voice sometimes with the camera on, off, or whatever. And I also do shorts that are pretty much random shorts, but usually have a purpose as to why they are about. Yep, that's all I do, and I do other stuff as well. Like, share, comment, and hit the bell if you do decide to hit the subscribe button, so you actually do get notified of when I release new content. See you in the next one. Peace to you all. And remember, never cause confusion and delay, because otherwise you will anger a lot of people. So always be on time to things, unless you have a very good reason for being late or early. Never delay somebody, or if you feel you have to delay somebody, have a good reason for it. And you know, it's not a bad thing if you decide you need help, even though you know you could do it on your own. It's always good to ask for help if you actually do need it. So, you know, don't feel scared about asking for help, because there are people out there that will help you if you need it. So yeah, all right, toodles.